delegates, our distinguished panelists. I see the commissioner is already here. Any friends who have joined us for this occasion, it is a privilege to welcome you all to the Hyatt Regency, formerly known as MICOS, as the chairperson of the Mashonaland District Committee. The significance of the Indaba is that the Indaba is not just another gathering, but it is critical for us to come up with actions and ideas to chart Zimbabwe forward. For many of us, the Indaba serves as the vital bridge, the essential follow-up to the robust discussions and strategic blueprints we developed at our recent winter school. We are here to convert those strategies into actionable steps and to tackle the current challenges facing our economy head-on. We as chartered accountants hold the keys to financial integrity, operational efficiency, and sustainable growth. We are not just financial experts, we are problem solvers, strategic thinkers, and architects to the nation's economic narrative. This year's theme, resilience, innovation, and sustainability. I'm sure from the theme, I also to choose what to dress, and I just thought green will delve well sustainability, and charting the Zimbabwe's way forward is exceptionally relevant. Resilience speaks to the grit we have already demonstrated in navigating economic headwinds. Innovation challenges us to look beyond conventional solutions, whether it is harnessing AI in accounting or embracing new financial reporting models. Sustainability reminds us that the financial decisions we make today must benefit generations to come, addressing everything from tax compliance, as we are going to hear from our commissioner, to leadership well-being, and to everything that pertains to the life we are in and the life to come. Today's program is packed with insightful discussions from the deep dive into the roadmap to middle income status to practical sessions on inclusive enterprise and SMEs. This is our opportunity to challenge, debate, and collaborate. I urge you to participate actively, share your ideas, network, live here not just informed, but inspired to implement change. Thank you once again for your presence and attendance. May this Indaba be highly productive and impactful. And I now declare the Icaz Indaba 2025 officially started. Thank you.
Mishek. I'm also Mishek. Oh. Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting Zimra to this platform. We are dedicated lots in terms of educating our clients, and we'll certainly always may be available. All protocols observed. Let me say, as Zimra, we are very delighted with your support. We really appreciate the way you online, the famous that you make, the return submissions that you also do. We are quite happy, and we want to urge you to continue in that area. I didn't come alone. I got my lieutenants. I got the regional manager in charge of revenue assurance, which is the investigation unit for Zimbabwe, Mr. Elmon Mao. There he is. I also have brought with me the taxpayer services for Zimbabwe. And this is Mrs. Boko. She's based at Yale office, and she's the one who called all the Shakespeare work. Mrs. Boko. That someone whom you may hate and like, he is the one who drives my fiscalization program, which is the LTMS. He's a very young man. In Zimra, we are trying to promote what the organ, the young. So we are going to say, why not come back? Yeah, that's the barrier. But the best James is. Conan is a spirit. So feel free to discuss issues with it. This tune, so that it will you fill out the gaps as we move towards the attainment of our year 2025, 2026. And the digitalization is a common issue within Zimmer. Let me go back, I think. Yeah, I think there's a presentation which I will look at. Zimmer is honored to participate, even public slides, participate in this. When I did, we really appreciate even the theme, resilience, innovation, and sustainability. Push the boost the control, push the sites. Voice. Okay. So we are grateful that we have actually supported the government and our partners and stakeholders to all our issues, which relates to even the promotion of our citizens. Yeah, what a lot of tasks Zimra in terms of living mobilization. So we encourage you to continue with your tax compliance to sustain the economic growth of the nation. You are there to support the nation. And our mandate Zimra is to collect revenue, advise the government of fiscal matters, and facilitate trade in total. In other words, we mobilize revenue for estates. We also advise government on the issues that we get from you, so that at least we advise them correctly and the challenges that you are facing. Then we also add the borders to make sure that everything comes inlet and even passes through as part of the transit corridor. Taxation remains a critical source of finance for the government in its quest to deliver public services that are vital for sustaining the development in line with the vision 2030. Accordingly, and closing revenue type leakages remains one of the most top focus areas under the National Development Strategy, which is AMTS. We are now going from 2026 by going to NDS2. NDS1 is closing this year. The shared vision, we have a vision despite being a collector. We have also a vision. We are looking at the urban middle income economy 2030, where we will also be supporting government to make sure that they run with that program through revenue mobilization. And this is going to be rooted on resilience. I think we have got dedicated staff. We've also dedicated taxpayers, and we have got dedicated leaders to take us through. Innovation, we are a very innovative entity. We shall see as we progress with my presentation. Sustainability, again, we are moving on on that. Tax compliance is a must for all to attain sustainable for all. And on this issue, I think I will stress that we are really stretching your support, but we are still helping someone yet submitted their agenda time. The dates for pay-as-you-earn is now, for the return is now the 5th, and for VAT is now the 10th. But payment for the pay-as-you-earn remains, with the holding taxes, remains the 10th, and for VAT, payment remains the 15th. And what we are simply asking for you is to submit the return before the due date. We make payment before the due date. Some of our are daring. We want to attain to what is called the data assessment requirement. And this one calls for 80% of our clients submitting returns on the due date or before, and making payments on the due date or before. So we are really urging you to make sure that we run together on this one. Revenue organization is the cornerstone of the nation. If there is no revenue, there is no Zimbabwe. And we contribute almost the whole budget from revenue mobilization. 95% comes from Zimbabwe. So we also, in the process, have issues that they pertain to the nation, which are best education, infrastructure, health, social protection, and national security. All these are supported because there is rather a mobilization which is taking this. If there are no relatives going in, certainly will be a challenge. When taxpayers comply voluntarily and consistently, government can plan better, invest strategically. I think this is the biggest gap that we are finding. We are saying, let's say to our taxpayers paying voluntarily without commission. It's a good barrier to know and just donors on the issues that the government is doing. So we really urge you to make sure that you go for voluntary rather to be forced or rather to be reminded by the system. We want you to really do much better, so that at least there is a commitment from the government to do the work and to provide social services to the community. Every Bonland taxpayer plays a direct role in realizing Vision 2030. So it's very important that we run with that as much as possible. Then why budgets? Why budgets? I think of late you are witnessing what the government is doing. There's a lot of infrastructure or projects that are taking place, which the government is financing through the taxes. So paying taxes is an investment in the nation's future. So enhances business credibility and access to the government tenders. Funds are critical for infrastructure, hospitals, schools. So there's need to be able to make sure that we pay our taxes and we benefit for the taxes. Then partnership and collaboration. Nation building requires collaboration, and that's very important. Government departments need to be collaborated with, business, citizens, partners, and with Icaz. We really appreciate and support. We normally have regular quarterly meetings with Icaz, and let's continue with that so that those reviews are very working. Why do we like those reviews from Icaz? They will assist us in making sure that as they build the nation, we really are moving together. Your own contribution is very important in national building. If the budget, we're going to have our budget in November, when the Minister of Finance will do the presentation, but obviously your contributions will be taken about where the ministers agreed on. Key developments in enhance revenue mobilization, it strengthens service delivery. I think in terms of service delivery, we are trying as much as possible. We want to make it less costly to our clients. This is why we've said we need to have offices every 100 kilometers away from the taxpayers. And we also provide what we can do, like we've come up with kiosks. These kiosks are very vital and they are very friendly, and Zimra is providing this for free. Leverage on technology and innovation, I will also dwell much on this one. And then promoting sustainability and compliance. Commitment to self-delivery. We want to make sure that we are very much committed to self-delivery, efficient and transparent in terms of our operations. I know that we have no one can guarantee % of effect, but we are trying our level best to make sure that we have an efficient and transparent in terms of our operations. I think we used to have a system that used to give everyone an item. I used to be fond that I wanted taxpayers, and I've been up from 12 a year, but I failed to download my taxpayer. But with the terms, I think as long as you are obliged, you have to treat with your returns, you have to treat with your payments. Without asking Zimra, you will get your taxpayers. So this is a big milestone in terms of making sure that we have an efficient operation system. Citizen-centered focus. We wanted to make sure that every citizen enjoys the benefits of revenue mobilization, but on the other hand, those that are trading, whether in formal or in the formal sector, they should also contribute to the national care. Strengthen the institutions equals national resilience, and this is done through tax revenue systems. We've come up with the terms, we've come up with the FDMS, we've come up with contact center, we've come up with Q6. I think there's been a lot that has happened too. We've come up with the block management system, incorporating the formal sector into the tax system as well. From next year, we are going to be doing more and more in terms of digitalization. We are already having plans to have e-commerce roadmap in 2026. We are also going to have fuel sector being fiscalization again being rolled on in 2026. So we have not stopped in terms of digitalization. Terms, the system that you are currently using, I think the system, if you really utilize it together, it benefits you and it also benefits the fiscals. We're going to be making sure that the terms functions well, and so far it's doing very well. We are going to have the second upgrade this year to clean up with other issues that were not done within so next day, where this we have fully rolled the program, and it's now it is full functionality. However, Tom's is also given us a lot of leeway. It's given us a lot of integration with other companies. So we are going to be integrated with registrar of companies. And what do we mean with this? What we are simply saying is we are trying to make it, or make business easy. So if the next time you go to the registrar of companies, or you come to the Zimra Q6, you are going to register for both Zimra and registrar of companies. We have already signed an MOU on this issue. So the moment you register the registrar of companies, you are already on our database as well. So this is what we are going to be doing this part of this year and maybe next year. We are arranging this to make sure that it sails through. We have also integrated with the civil land history, and it's working very well in terms of verifying. We used to have challenges, for example, in fiscalization, in capital base, or in income tax. But currently, because of the integration we've done, the system verifies the presence of the actual taxpayer through civil registry. Then the abusers go ahead that we are dealing with the correct person. We're facing fraud as well in the capital base, where a person will come and do a representation to sell someone's property where it is not the genuine person. But with this is now water under the bridge. We are also integrated the local banks and it's going on well, but we have not finished this area. We are going to continue with it into 2026. Let me say, in 2026, we are going to do further integrations. We are already geared to have integrations with the organizations like NASA, ZDF, and other government MDAs. Also, local authorities, we are going to be integrating with them. We acquire their database. We want to make sure that anyone who is on the local authority database is also registered with the Zimura. So terms support it, like it. It has given you a lot of new and benefits. You are in a position to get through SSP, and you view your accounts, you can amend the returns, and so forth. And you get the tax clearance of your time as long as you are up to your opinions. And we are planning to have the 2026 tax clearance being issued. But this year we are going to add another parameter. If you are not fully fiscalized in terms of FTMS, you are not going to get a tax clearance. So take note, that is your development. The system will clear you only if you are up to date with your returns, if you are up to date with your payments, and if you are up to date with fiscalization. So if you are not yet there, you have 1 month to build that so that you get your tax payments for 2026. FDMS, what has it done? We have come up with the fiscalization data management system. This is an integrated backend solution focusing on interfacing with existing and newly installed hardware and virtual solutions to taxpayers options to fiscalization requirements. What are we saying? We are saying when we started fiscalization, we had fiscal gadgets. But this time around, we have also said we need to capture the whole market. Currently, the law that is now there, everyone, whether you are VAT registered trader or you are not a VAT registered operator, you are now supposed to fiscalize. So fiscalization is now compulsory for all, as long as you are in trade, and the law is already there. But we are trying to make it more and more simpler. We are coming up with a mobile app which will be used for like clients who are in the informal sector through their phones and so forth. So we are really anticipating that in 2026, there's going to be a big transformation as far as their fiscalization is concerned. It reduces compliance costs. It detects tax fraud. What do I mean by this? If you submit an invoice that is not compatible about Section 20, Subsection 24, what will happen is the system will automatically reject that invoice. So you won't get the claim for income tax. So let's make sure that we are fiscalized. We are coming up with fiscal invoices which have got QR codes. So the invoices should have QR codes. And these QR codes, we verify them. If you just use your phone to scan whether it says Zimura or a German invoice or not. Or the invoices that are within the companies are being generated by Zimura and they put a QR code. So QR code is now compulsory codes. Then it enables remote monitoring and strengthens revenue collection, and it has been extended to SADs. The other lies on FDMS is that it's now taking into consideration your stock. So as you do your business, you can actually patch in your stock. As you do the drawdowns, it will be recording. So it is actually assisting the formal and informal to make sure that their stock levels are also monitored. And obviously, this will assist Zimura as well in monitoring whether they are doing the proper declarations in terms of the sales. Then we have got a new kid on the block, which is now here also, which is block management. Block management, we desired, and we have been desired to have it. This one is designed to focus more. What's happening? It's not on now.
fix.
Oh, yeah, Brandon. Okay. So block management is we have designed the country designed the country and demarcated it into regions, and we have got 5 blocks. These 5 blocks are the regions. Within the region, we have got sub-blocks. And these sub-blocks, what we have done is we have officers who move in these sub-blocks to check whether everyone within those blocks are on our tax base. So we are trying to increase the tax base, and I think we have done quite well. Last year, we recorded about 66,000 new taxpayers on our system. This year, currently, we are at 61,000 because of block management. So block management identifies and makes sure that everyone is compliant. We've even extended it to the rural areas through an outreach program. So in the rural areas, we are actually visiting as teams, and we are making sure that everyone who is in trade is also on our system. Then we have got the kiosks. These ones, we are trying to make it easy for clients to access our systems. Most of the clients were complaining that they don't have computers, they don't have laptops, they don't have systems. Then we opened our system for them. What they have to do is to come to our premises. We are at Ukurima, we have a very big kiosk, and we have a big kiosk being Rich Machine, Blawayo, Tari, where we are all over the show where there's a smaller office. We have a kiosk to make sure that the work it makes easy for clients to get any assistance which they require. What are the Zimra expectations? Ensure timely registration for all relevant tax obligations. There are some what they require the tax clearance. They just come register for income tax, disappear. Then you wait until that tax clearance expires. And you see there is running a very thriving company. How can you run a thriving company without employees? And you, in the first step, you are the first employee. So we expect you to register and cover all the other taxes. Then there are others who are submitting new returns and they are trading. And we know them. Our team has been comparing issues. And let me say, I'm amazed with the results. The person was paying, or the taxpayer was paying in 2023 through SAP. And he or she decides to go on sabbatical leave in TAPS. What has happened? Where's business discipline? Because if you have terminated your business, you write a letter that you are no longer trading. So, yeah, that's one thing that we are actually looking at in making sure that those that are not compliant, we look at them and address the issues. Then we expect you someone to return the payments in time. And like I said, in time it means by the due date or before the due date, which is the 5th and the 10th, except for QPDs, which are on the 25th. So we really ask you to desire to move on that as well. And adhere to fiscalization rules and regulations. We have noted that there are some who unplug the POS machine and the fiscal budget. Our system actually detects that. So don't be surprised that whilst you are doing these things, you just see the human officers coming at your door and asking you what is happening in this position. So this is how developmental and digital we are. We are trying to make sure that really we cover every inch and we are on top of the situation as much as possible. Then familiarize. Our expectation is for you to familiarize yourselves fully with the terms called our product or system. Then in the end, all of that compliance. I think this one I will continue to talk about it. We want you to voluntarily pay. And for voluntarily pay the full amount And once you do that, you will not see revenue assurance, which is the investigation unit, or our auditors coming to you. So our desire is to have 100% of that. Then foster open engagement with the ZIMRA. We have open door policy, our colleagues, but we see some failing to come to us. But yet they've got very minor issues. I don't know what they fear. Yeah, some of them I know they fear that they've a tendency of declaring smaller amounts to avoid claiming for every funds or to be detected. But we also know that this is what is happening. So why not do the correct thing? Because at the end of the day, if you are caught paying more, you have a penalty, you have interest, why getting to that? So just be honest and make sure that you avoid issues that can be avoided. We need to strengthen our compliance culture. Like I said, we don't want auditors at our doorsteps. What we have done is we have gone a step further. We now have a lot of data, Zimra. We have the term system, it has a lot of data. We also have got the FPMS, it has got a lot of data. And we have got a scooter. We are now integrating a scooter, which is the customs module, the FTMS, and the terms. So what is going to happen is the three modules will be talking to each other. If you do any quotation, the invoice is automatically sent to FTMS and it returns. So we should be knowing, okay, on your stroke, already it is captured that you have been quoted so many items, and we then start monitoring as you do yourselves. So this is a very good system for you. The major of the two systems or integration will assist you in making sure that your business is efficient for everyone. We have established a team of data analytics. AI is now in ZIMRA and is in ZIMRA audits. So we have teams that are in investigations, we have teams that are in domestic taxes audit section, that are analyzing data, which is the ZIMRA, and then cross-matching it within the various systems. Let me say, we are amazed with the differences that we are noticing in terms of your declarations and also what you are giving to us. As ZIMRA, we are going to start a project next week on Monday, which is going to be taken to those that are not compliant and are not giving us the correct amounts. So let's have a culture of making sure that we have strengthened in terms of compliance. What is our future like? Big data analytics, was the big data is there, real-time risk detection. We have established within terms a list engine, and this risk engine has got the capacity to pick up in long declarations, and they'll put you into the red route. Not me, but the system. So the system is going to put you in the red route, and then once that is done, you will see the auditors coming to you. So from next year, auditors will come over and you look that Gova is selected a case, but the system has selected you. So take note of that. So why then be embarrassed by being put in the red zone or in the red lane? Let's avoid what we can. So data analytics is going to be real-time risk detection, enhanced taxpayer compliance or anti-transparency is what is going to be also our future. Continuous staff capacity building. We know some complain that our officers are not well capacitated. We are going to be making sure that that is done. We have also introduced the contact center, and this has assisted us in making sure that some of the issues which are online are addressed urgently. In terms of the SMEs, I think April says, remember, focus on the SMEs. Why are you focusing on us every time? We are focusing on both SMEs and informal sector. So we are urging the SMEs, I think this month, we're going to be in Bali doing a lot of education workshops for those that are in that area, and we even at Benfield, and so forth. So we are everywhere, and we want to make sure that everyone pays. So we support the business growth, and we are doing also to make sure that the systems and legislation are aligned. We are working towards having a simplified tax regime as far as the SMEs are concerned. You know, the SMEs can really contribute. I was in Rwanda. You know what they do? They've got tables and they've got numbers. They've got that everyone who is in trade, where they are selling Makazi, you have a tin number. So if you are selling tomatoes, they have a tin number. Then you have also a local authority number. So those two will assist in terms of payment, and they pay through platforms like Apple Cash, real time, and it's quite easy for the SMEs to run that. This is where we are going. We want to make sure that these SMEs are also campus dedicated to in terms of their contribution, because they are benefiting from the national cake. Then international cooperation, let me say, as an entity, Zimbra, we are also part of the Global Forum. We hosted the Global Forum, I think 2 months ago, or 1.5 months ago, at the Elephant Hills in Big Falls. The attendance was just something else. We had about 120 plus countries that came for that forum. We are part of the mutual agreements at the Global Forum in terms of exchange of information. So if you are an international entity and you are doing international transactions, your days are numbered if you are not declaring. Both will be having all the information in terms of even investments which are offshore. Will be sharing that information. So do your correct declarations as citizens of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a source-based country, and we are the source-based people. We are not resident-based in terms of taxation. So let's make sure that business that is generated in Zimbabwe, the monies are also used and invested in Zimbabwe. So every transaction that we'll be doing, we'll be monitoring it from the offshore position. We are concluding the issues which we are keeping up with the Global Forum. We are also revising our double taxation agreements with a number of countries which are outdated. And recently, last week, we were doing one with the Netherlands. So we are going to continue doing that. This will assist in terms of exchange of information with other jurisdictions. Then, in conclusion, what is the way forward? Now, in terms of Zimra, we want to remain with the law integrity, professionalism, transparency, commitment, and innovation. We want to continue moving towards the route of digitalization. There's going to be a lot of digitalization in the customs side. There's going to be a lot of digitalization on the domestic taxes side. So anticipate a lot of digitalization 2026 and the years to come as we go towards 2030 national vision. Thank you.
Morning to you all, and may I say all protocols observed. You know, those Sundays when you go to church and the preacher is talking about you and your sins. I've got that feeling right now. And I'm not sure whether this was deliberate on the part of Icaz to put me just after the commissioner. But anyway, I'll try my best to go through my presentation. So, all right, I think I've got the technology going. So my topic is inclusive enterprise and SMEs, and I've just added there, charting Zimbabwe's way forward. And my name is Farai Tabanengwe, like I said, and like I've been introduced, I'm the executive officer for the SME Association of Zimbabwe.
So the issue of inclusive, obviously, my topic is coming against a background that we've been given there: resilience, innovation, and sustainability. And I think it's an acknowledged fact, especially in Zimbabwe, that SMEs are the engine of the economy. Uh, in fact, I would say globally, SMEs are the engine of growth, although it's probably more uh, extensive in Zimbabwe because of our peculiar circumstances. Sorry, yeah, I'm getting a bit confused with the slides. So, defining inclusive enterprise, what is inclusive enterprise? Basically, the key thing that we're talking about there is economic participation, ensuring that all segments of society, especially youth and women, can actively participate in and benefit from inclusive growth. So the key thing is ensuring that everyone gets a benefit or gets a piece of the pie. And then obviously I see, well, Zimra is now also making sure that we are all inclusive when it comes to tax payments. Sorry, just give me a second. I'll try and put up my slides on my phone because the angle there is a bit inconvenient. I don't know if this is able to show the slides, the technical team. All right, anyway, let me go on. So the inclusive dividend, basically what we are just saying is that for any economy, the key thing that we want to see, thank you very much. All right, next one. Yes, thank you. So basically what we are saying, in terms of inclusivity, we want to see a transformation of these informal businesses into formal and high growth enterprises that also contribute meaningfully to the tax base and also create quality jobs. And I think, I don't want to obviously have an Indaba within an Indaba, but I think we need to engage with the commissioner on some of the things that they are proposing to do. From our own perspective as the SME Association of Zimbabwe, we believe that a viable tax base is only going to come through if you actually grow the SME sector. If you grow the small enterprises, I'm trying to tax them when they are still very tiny. And I hear some of the proposals; they are very noble. But like I said, we need to engage. Because obviously, we especially at the early stages, when the business is still trying to come up, if you impose a lot of burden and regulation on it, that creates some challenges. But if you allow them to grow, if you create a conducive environment which enables them to grow, they start to have more and more employees. They can now afford to hire. I heard my friend there saying, we can. I think if we want to assist you to collect. When he said you need partners to also implement this. But obviously, from our point of view, it's also about affordability. We can't hire high-powered chartered accountants such as the ones that are in this room, but certainly after we have grown to a certain extent, that is all possible. But coming back to who we are as an organization, sorry, I'm having to play a bit of defensive here because of because of what has happened. So our core goal, or our core mandate as an organization is transforming or growing startups, small and medium-sized enterprises into large corporations and professionally run organizations of the future. Maybe can you my slides for me so that we can synchronize? Because if I use this, we might lose each other. So our model as the SME-AZ is basically an integrated model. It's a model that is geared towards transformation. It's a model that is geared towards assisting our members to grow. And we use a systematic approach, a structured approach to transformation, because growth, like any other thing, growth is planned. It's not something that happens on an ad hoc basis. It's not something that can happen through a one-off interaction. It has to happen through a systematic process, through a continuous engagement with the members involved, building up the capacity and the resilience for them to then be able not only to compete but also to pay meaningful taxes. So we basically have 6 pillars that we work with, and I'm going to go through some of those pillars. The way we came up with these pillars was we looked at what were the challenges. We looked at why were SMEs not growing, and then from there we came up with these pillars, which would then enable us to address the lack of growth. And our end goal, obviously, is to come up with large corporations, people that are professionalized, formalized, scalable. Sorry, you ran a bit too fast now. And also sustainable. I think sustainability is a key word, and we must ensure that whatever we are going to do is going to be sustainable. Thank you. Next slide. So pillar number 1, remember I said you've got 6 pillars when it comes to growth. So pillar number 1 is growth strategy and planning. So what we realized upfront was that most SMEs were not growing simply because there was no plan to grow, or there was no intentionality about the growth. Yes, people want to see their businesses flourish, they want to make a lot of money, but you need to have a clear strategy, you need to have a clear vision of where exactly this enterprise must go. And not having that vision in itself prevents growth. So what we came up with was a proprietary training that enables or that helps our members to come up with this vision and come up with an actionable plan that enables them to achieve that vision. And obviously that is what then creates sustainable and long-term success. Next slide, please. Then the next part of growth becomes access to markets. So you'll find that sales growth is the most critical ingredient. If you are not growing your sales, your business is not going to grow. So our focus from that perspective, number 1, is to connect small producers to large corporate supply chains. You find that globally, this is the main way through which SMEs grow. Linkages to large corporations, also linkages to government, especially through the tenders. You find that that is the principal way through which our SMEs achieve growth. For a small landlocked country like Zimbabwe, you also find that we have to expand our reach beyond our borders or beyond our local markets. And if you look at Zimbabwe, traditionally, even what we call our large corporations, they've tended to be very localized. Now, if you look at an economy with only 40 million people, you literally become a big fish in a small pond if you are not going to expand beyond the borders. And that is one of the challenges that we are looking at, to say how do we scale up our SMEs so that they have a regional, at the very least a regional perspective, better still an international perspective, because that is what creates true growth instead of the large fish, small pond syndrome that we have. And then innovation in product development and marketing, that is also necessary. Unfortunately, that has also suffered within the local context, because we've some of the hardships that we've experienced have made us remain focused maybe on primary activities as opposed to research and development, as opposed to innovation, using new technologies, especially in the digital space. You find that we are not seeing them. So that's access to markets. Then our next pillar is access to funding. You also find that as a business grows, it requires funding. You need to scale up your capex. You need more working capital. So it's one challenge that we also experienced. We realized that, in fact, we tried to engage the formal banking sector. Unfortunately, it wasn't as responsive to our needs as we would have wanted. So we had to come up with our own innovations. We came up with our SACCOs, or Savings and Credit Cooperative Society, which is a vehicle through which our members are able to save money and then get loans from that. It's helped to some extent. It still needs augmentation. We still need to work even with the other financial services providers. CBZ, we are looking at the diaspora, but there's also the SME segment, so you can also look at that. It's also important, of course, for the SMEs themselves to be bankable, have the right structures in place, the records, the track record, governance, etc. So all of those things obviously need to be in place, and that is something that we assist with. Then resilience to manage liquidity and withstand economic shocks. And I think when we talk about economic shocks, we are all familiar with that concept, especially in the local context. So you'll find that if you do not have savings in place, if you do not have something to fall back on, it may be more difficult for you to smooth out your cash flow cycles. And this is another area where our SACCO helps, because from the saving, number one, we enable savings, which is something that had almost become extinct in Zimbabwe. And number two, we also pay a very good rate of return on those savings to actually not only beat inflation, but actually get some growth on that. I hope Mr. Koha is not going to come up with ideas around taxing us. But anyway, yeah, these are some of the things that we're trying to do. Then the next pillar is training and productivity. Again, you find that, number one, most SMEs do not have the actual skill set to be able to grow their business. Most SMEs start a business because they've got a product or a service that they can offer, but they may not then have the skill sets to actually manage the business, because there's a lot of things that are required there, knowing how to market, knowing how to manage people, knowing how to set up systems, manage the growth, etc. So you find that without proper training or expanding of the skill set of the entrepreneur, that business is likely not to grow. So what do? We provide business skills training, but we also partner with other people who provide technical skills training to upskill the entrepreneur, upskill even their staff, so that they are also better able to manage the business. That also then increases efficiency, it increases quality control. It also enables technology adaptation. And ultimately, our aim is also to create a professional and sustainable human resource base, which enables long-term growth of those businesses. Next slide. Then our fifth pillar is infrastructure or appropriate workspaces. And I'm sure we all know about the fires that always break out, whether it's at Glenview Area 5, we had it in Bare, Bulawayo, we've also had that. But it's all because we don't have the right infrastructure. We have why that happens, we don't have the infrastructure. So we're trying to also encourage, especially the property owner, to have or to develop infrastructure that is more SME appropriate, and also come up with ways to assist our members to be able, because without infrastructure, you'll find that it's difficult to do business. For example, if you are doing it from home, and it's also difficult. In fact, I think this is a good point for Simra as well. Maybe try and put more of the taxes into infrastructure for the SMEs as you attempt to formalize, because it's easier to formalize someone who is at a known location than to formalize someone who is roaming around because they don't have a permanent place to do business. So it's important that appropriate formal workspaces be created within the economy, also to avoid the situations that we are seeing, like right here in the CBD. I'm sure for those of you who move around in the CBD, the pavements are lined with vendors throughout now. Why? Because they don't have other places where they can actually carry out their trade. So it's important to get that. It will improve compliance, it improves security, improves capacity, it improves resilience. Ultimately, it improves sustainability. Next slide, please. Then our last pillar is lobbying and advocacy. If we look at our environment in Zimbabwe, it's not very SME friendly. If you look at the legislation, coming back to even to the tax legislation, and I know we've had these conversations. I think between us and Zimra, we are in agreement. Maybe Minister of Finance, not so much, but we need a taxation framework that is adapted to SMEs, because we cannot use the same framework that is applied on large corporates to SMEs for various reasons. Number one is just the ability to be able to comply with the sheer regulatory pattern. If our tax framework is designed for organizations that have chartered accountants and maybe whole departments that are just sitting there for compliance, whereas if you look at your SMEs, it's probably one person. If they've brought a bit, maybe they've managed to put in an accountant, but that person might not be very knowledgeable. So you find that issues around the actual framework itself need to be addressed. Issues around incentives for growth. We incentivize FDI. We give them tax holidays, even 10 years of tax holiday. But we don't do the same to our local investors. And the question is, why not? Why should we not incentivize local investment? After all, local investment is never going to go anywhere. FDI may run away after the 10-year tax holiday. But local investment, is always going to be here to stay. So those are some of the things that we need to address. Regulatory pattern, and I know that government has now started to move the wheels on that one, although they're moving a bit too slow for us. The regulatory pattern remains extremely high, and obviously that also fosters a lot of the non-compliance, because you find that for most of these businesses, if they comply, then they are dead in the water. So those things need to be looked at, and I think government has acknowledged that. The Minister of Finance has acknowledged that. They've promised to review, but we are yet to see the actual reviews. And obviously, this is all tied to sustainability. It's tied to inclusivity, because if the environment, especially the formal environment, does not allow you to thrive, to grow, to be profitable, then obviously, the inclusivity aspect of it is made to fall short. Thank you. Next slide. So, being here amongst the chartered accountants, what is it that you can also do to assist us as SMEs on this journey? I think formalization obviously becomes the first port of call there. You are able to assist our membership to become compliant, to actually put in place the sort of systems, processes, structures that are required before one to formalize. Coming up with robust financial statements, helping in making the SMEs bankable or even investment ready. Governance, issues like internal controls, accountability, and also obviously even the knowledge itself, because you deal with a lot of other businesses. You've got insights that can assist our members to actually also grow their business. Thank you. Next slide. So the clarion call there is we need to build a sustainable future together. This is not about them versus us, us the non-compliant and you the compliant, but it's about all of us coming together, systemic support to be able to create resilience, to bring in innovation and also sustainability. So I think what I would say coming from the SME Association of Zimbabwe is let's partner to transform small, growing businesses into the large corporations of tomorrow. And I think that should be my last slide. Thank you very much.
I always like coming to talk to the chartered accountants. I was asked this morning to talk about accounting in the NI. When I actually thought about it, I thought there isn't actually much to say. I think we've talked about it quite a lot. If there's an accountant who hasn't thought about it, you're in trouble. So I decided to talk about what I wanted anyway, which is cryptocurrency, which I thought was more interesting. But just so that Hina doesn't yell at me, I'll say a little bit about AI and the counter, just so that the whole thing is complete. Can you hear me without the mic?
Yeah.
Boom. I can't stand still. So basically, if there's anybody in this room who's an accountant or importer who thinks they're going to have a job in the next decade, I'd like some of what you spoke. Why am I saying that? There are a few technologies that are in the world today and are in place and being used today that are making our beloved profession obsolete and redundant. We are aware of robotic process automation. We call them bots. When bots are used properly, they will do the work of 90% of your accounts department. What do most of the people in your accounts department do? They capture and they reconcile. Correct? I've seen a bot in this country that receives an invoice on email. It can read email. You teach it. If you get an email from billing@zesa.co.zw, open it. Look for the word amount to. Take the number, copy. Go and open Pastel. We guys don't call it Pastel anymore. What is Pastel is? And go and paste the number over here. All your data capture gone. And I'm not talking about something in the future. I'm talking about something that exists today. I have seen in Nairobi, they use M-Pesa the same way we do another company in Zimbabwe. But when you walk into a supermarket, when you pay with M-Pesa, unlike here where the till sends you the transaction and you put in your PIN, in Kenya, you get on your phone and you send the money to the supermarket. Now think about it. $1, 17 tills running at the same time. Money's coming in thick and fast. How does NIBUS, the supermarket chains, figure out which transaction is being paid for each till? The software exists already. The computer sees the money coming in. It makes a very intelligent guess looking at the time and the amount, which till is probably being paid. That till confirms it's received money and the receipt is printed and out door. Why do you need a records department? But no, I'm a CA. I do disclosures. We've got amazing large liquid module stuff. What we commonly call AI. Now speaks at a human. It can try it. Go on ChatGPT and ask it to put in a set of numbers and ask it to prepare IFRS compliant accounts. It will do a better job than a lot of people in this room. So if you think you will be debiting and crediting for the foreseeable future, my friend, then you need to really think about your life. We as a profession need to really think long and hard and reimagine ourselves. Oh, there's one other thing I want to talk about, which is, I'm in audit. So when they're all done, whether if they've done it to the computers, they're going to call me and I'll audit, right? Because somebody has to say it's correct. there's a thing called a distributed ledger, also known as blockchain. I'll talk a bit more about it as well in my presentation. Everybody involved in the transaction has a piece of it on their computer. So we all know that it's correct. Your supplier knows that it's correct. Your bank knows that it's correct. If we want our board members to have access, they know that it's correct. Because from the time the initial transaction occurred, then you got an invoice from your supplier. A piece of that transaction got recorded on the computers of all these people. Then anybody who wants to check if it's correct can do it all by themselves. Why do we need to watch that? We now have amazing capacity in data analysis. The fastest growing department in our company, which is a fintech company, is business intelligence. We're hiring data analysts faster than we are hiring software developers. Why? Because they've got the skill to query the data and make the data tell a story. That has been our preserve as accountants, because we had this secret tool called the Ledger that helped us to gather lots of data in a very coherent manner that only we understood by secret language. And we issued reports to people, monthly, quarterly, of your year, and said to people, this is what's happened. And they could only get reports of what we decided to tell. Now, in our business, for example, I'm in business development. I deal with the people who do sales. If one of my team members is sitting there wondering, I wonder how many of our customers buy fuel and airtime on the same day. They just walk upstairs and go to BI, and they ask the data scientist, can you answer this question? And they don't say come back next week. They say, give me 5 minutes. Because we've now synthesized coding as well. There's what's now called low code, no code, where anybody who's a little bit smart can learn this and can query a database. Then in 5 minutes, you get your report. These are all the customers who, do you want to know it for yesterday? Do you want to know it for today? Do you want to know it for the last 3 years? These are their phone numbers. What else do you want to know about? So if you think about it, we won't even need a ledger in the next few years. Why do you need a TL? You just need a dump of all the financial data, right? Every transaction is in there somewhere. And it's carrying a tag with all its descriptions in it. And if we want to know what our sales were, we just ask the computer, go find all the data that has the tag sales. If we want to know what our staff costs are, if we want to know what our staff costs are, if we squared the number and multiplied it by pi, for whatever reason, the computer did that for us in the blink of an eye. So food for what? Over the weekend? But you could be doing in 10 years. Not this. Now can I talk about what I wanted to talk about? I really wanted to talk about cryptocurrency. And just to lay the background, I want to talk about solving a problem that we're all familiar with. So there's all the words on the screen. What I actually wanted to do was just to put the picture of a Zig note. And I learned that my brother, persistence is very big. See? Maybe he's coming off the lunch. But my RB said, the other man will be in the back. Just put a Zig note as a problem. But basically, it's a currency problem. We've got a lot of volatility. We've also got issues like high transaction costs, taxes, very high remittance costs, international and domestic. the cost of moving money sometimes is crazy. If you make a small payment, it often costs you more to make the payment than the value of a payment. At Inbucks, we took a decision to say, let's introduce free transfers. You pay $1 and nothing, you can transfer as much as you want. We still feel it's too high. A lot of customers still find it too high. And then when you throw the taxes on top, the transaction is still very expensive. We also have a problem as a small country, but it varies. As a small country, we have a problem of getting excluded from global comps. We keep hearing the story about correspondent banking and why it keeps coming with challenge. In simple terms, when you send money to another country, your bank sends it to another bank, which sends it to another bank, and it gets to the person who wants. Because of anti-money laundering and combating of financial terrorism, each bank that's handling that transaction has to fully understand the details associated with that transaction. If by any chance that transaction is breaching AML CFT rules, those banks get fined. So if you are JP Morgan, if you are Bank of New York, you're handling trillions of dollars every week, and there's this odd $20,000 that comes over your books from Zimbabwe, that could result in you being fined hundreds of millions. What are you going to do? You're simply going to say, hey, this is not worth our trouble. Let's not deal with that little country. And this has become a big problem for us. We've got the shrinking universe of correspondent banks. Fewer and fewer international banks want to stop this. And that then makes the cost of international transactions that much more expensive for us. So it's a blockchain. Please bear with me. It will all come together a little bit later. It's a blockchain, which is a decentralized ledger. So when we all hear blockchain, we tend to think Bitcoin. But before, Bitcoin is just a use case for a blockchain. All a blockchain is a ledger that is sitting on many computers. There isn't one central truth. Everybody associated with that universe has a small piece of it. And every time you want to transact, everybody in that universe agrees. All those computers agree. They rebuild that picture and confirm that what you're trying to do is correct. That if you think that's your balance, if you say your bank balance is $100, there's a little bit of your bank balance on everyone's computer. It all comes together and says, yes, it is $100. If it's not, if somebody in the chain says, no, that's not the truth, the transaction will happen. So, and it's immutable. Once something is recorded, it cannot be amended. It cannot be deleted, it cannot be changed, it's there forever. So then we have cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, which then uses that technology to create a payment system. It has one big flaw though. Those pure cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have one flaw because they do not have anything real underpinning the value. So when you translate it into real world money, there tends to be a lot of volatility. Enter a recent development called stablecoins. Now, this is a kind of cryptocurrency whose value is linked to something real in the real world. That real thing could be gold. It could be a basket of currencies. It could be whatever. It means that yes, you've got this cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, but so one of the more common ones is called USDT. Every USDT you're holding is representative of a certain quantity of US dollars that are sitting in a real bank account. What it then does is it's going to allow everybody who's trading in that stable coin to transact at a very low cost, because the actual money is not moving. The actual money is sitting in one account somewhere, and we're all paying and receiving to and from each other within that bank account. The transactions become much faster and much cheaper. And at the same time, we have all the benefits of a distributed ledger. Everybody in the universe can see everything that everybody is doing. So how would we use it? Use case number one is remittances and payments. Has anybody ever sent or received money on that famous competitor of ours who's got an orange logo? What's the effective cost of a transaction there? It's never less than 10%. Yeah, when you're sending somebody $20, $2, maybe it's neither here nor there. But if you're sending somebody, if you have to pay a bill of $2,000 and the person tells you you only got 1,980 because 10% wins just for the privilege of sending money in their rails. Sometimes it's as high as 15%. Now think about that in the context of $1.5 billion in remittances that we get. What's now closer to 2. Think how much value is disappearing just in the process of sending money. And guess what happens when the money arrives here? So you receive $200 from your cousin. What you do with the $200? You go and buy something important. So the money just turns around and goes straight back out of the country at another cost. So using stable coin to receive money as a country and to send money out as a country would enormously reduce the cost of transacting. And the benefit of that would largely accrue to the lower income households in our country that are receiving diaspora remittances. It would also accrue to the businesses that are importing raw materials and goods that are consumed by those same lower income households. Use case number 2. A store. We know we have this love-hate relationship with the US dollar in this country. And with this love-hate relationship with the formal banks in this country. And the result is a lot of people are keeping US dollar cash under their mattresses or wherever. Again, at high cost, in the form of the risk of theft, lost in other ways. Sometimes you are having to insure that money. Sometimes you're having to pay for actual physical security men with guns. Moving that money around is also very, very expensive. Using stable coins would give us the benefit of having the hard currency, because that hard currency is sitting in an actual bank account somewhere. In an independent system that has total transparency, and we can all see that the money is there without all these costs and all this complexity. But also, latching on to international stable coins gives us access to international markets and international finance. There are lenders out there that want to lend our SMEs, that want to lend our businesses, but they've got no transparency. They've got no visibility of what business we're doing. If we get onto crypto rails and those transactions, like I said, remember, everybody can see everything. So you can have a Zimbabwean company raising money from a lender in Nicaragua because they can see everything. And they can have comfort in transacting with you. We can also use this to assist the government when they are making payments, to introduce transparency, because everybody can see everything. When NGOs are distributing value, right now you won't believe how much money NGOs spend distributing cash in this country, even in the current international climate. And they still don't even know that the money gets to the intended beneficiaries. How do we get there? How do we get from where we are to a point where we can be able to access this tool that I think is very, very important and can be a huge lever for development in our country? I think the first thing is we need to look at regulation. We need to actually allow it. We need to stop being afraid. We do have this fear of technology. We have the fear of new things, but we have to become open to it. And let's create a regulatory sandbox where we actually invite. We've got a lot of clever young people that are exposed, that have traveled all over the world. We invite them to try some of these ideas in a controlled manner. Based on that, we create regulation. Because everything must be regulated, or else it can be abused. When we look at countries in Europe, they've now developed very advanced regulation mechanisms for cryptocurrency. But in Africa, just earlier this month, Kenya approved a law governing cryptocurrencies. We can reach it. And then we can pilot our own crypto or use existing cryptos. What does this mean for our local financial institutions? There's still a lot of business to be done, being the on-ramp and the off-ramp, because still in the end, when somebody has received their cryptocurrency from their cousin in the UK, and they want to go to Bali to buy something, they want local currency. They want to go, they will pick a money, or they want to go swipe with a local card. And local banks would still have a role to play in converting both ways. There are a lot of products that you can integrate stable coins into, including lending, including derivatives, such as we could create a gold derivative, where we've got a lot of the stuff. We could actually really start to use it as a currency, as a digital currency. Yeah, so in conclusion, I think, and I'm encouraging everyone here to start thinking about this and start talking to people in their spheres of influence about it. This would be a powerful tool to drive growth, to help us leapfrog. One of the things about new technologies and new ideas is that they always favor the laggards. We are so far behind the first world. But here are some very new, powerful ideas that we can latch onto. And we have an equal chance of succeeding in some of these things as the richest country on earth, because it's brand new. We are all learning at the same time. And if we do it really well, we could actually become the global leaders, and we can become a hub. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So energy, we're going to change tact a little bit. So I know the MC said that you guys are not scared by what Minister Newemba said, but there was a moment of silence in this room when everyone was calculating their lives and everyone's stress hormones went up just like that. And I heard it. And I'm here to probably to come and compound on that factor. Yes, because now I'm here to ask you, in the next 10 years, will you be well enough to even do that job in the first place? Because a lot of us are doing jobs so well right now that we are burning ourselves to the ground. And by the time we finish 10 years, we're not well enough to do a lot. And it's sad because when we're looking at the statistics here in Zimbabwe, we find that the rising disease burden is in chronic diseases. So a lot of people have hypertension, they have diabetes, people have been diagnosed with cancers, but even the more silent diseases, musculoskeletal pains. If I threw a stone in this room, I would hit someone who's probably had a history of back pain. A lot of people have back pain. Lower back pain, knee pains. A lot of us are probably in our 30s, 40s, but our knees are 70. Our backs are probably 80. And why? Because of the jobs that we are doing. We are sitting on desks like this every single day. So we're trying to find out how are we improving our lives and our wellness so that we are well enough to do anything in the next 10 years. So today we're talking about leadership well-being. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Dr. Mesi. I work at CIMAS IGO. CIMAS IGO is the wellness division of CIMAS Health Group. So what we do is we offer wellness solutions for corporates, for individuals, and our members. First question I think we have to ask ourselves is what is well-being and what is wellness in the first place? Well, if you look at the two definitions, they tend to be interlinked, they interchange. Well-being is described as a sense of fulfillment, being happy, being healthy, being fulfilled and satisfied with your life, being emotionally, physically, and mentally satisfied. It's about happiness and self-actualization, so to speak. Wellness is the process of getting to that point. So it's in being involved in the right activities that lead you to a place of having good well-being. So that's eating better, being more active, being more social, having the right social connections, and that's the process of well-being. A lot of us, as we talk and in social circles, will realize that a lot of us are not well. We're not entirely, we're not in a state of being in good well-being. You'll find that especially after COVID, we've had what people a mental health crisis globally. A lot of came out during the COVID pandemic and realized and became isolated. There was a lot of panic as we realized how fragile life really was. So after that, people really started looking inwards and they realized that we're not okay after all. And in our economy, compounded by economic factors, social factors, if you speak to people on a daily basis like I do in the clinics, you will realize that generally we are not well. We are hiding behind smiles and surviving. Yeah. And as Zimbabweans, we like to joke about things. So a lot of times we're making jokes in front, but behind closed doors, we're not doing so well. So today the topic is more focused on organizations and leaders as well, because we are leaders in our sectors. So what exactly has been the cost of neglecting our well-being and our wellness? So you'll find that a lot of organizations, leaders are at high demand. A lot is required from them. So cognitively, people are required to be strategic under a lot of pressure. You find that emotionally, as a leader, you have to have high emotional regulation. You have to be composed. You have to be calm. You have to direct people and manage people so that your organization is headed in the right direction. Even in an economy like Zimbabwe, where things are never quite certain. but people are looking up to you, so you always have to be on. That means that you can't show weakness, you can't show a moment of, falter. You have to always be on. Socially, that has led people to, long hours sitting at a desk, long hours in the office, poor socialization, poor work-life balance. And physically, we're deferring our health states. You'll find that most people ignore small things in terms of their health in order to keep their organizations, their finances, their families running. So they defer the smaller things. And financially, we're maintaining organization finances, home finances. And like I said, we're in economic instability. You never know what tomorrow brings. We're in the digital age. You don't know what tomorrow brings as well. So we're just not sure about a lot, but we're expected to navigate our ways through all things. Leaders are navigating through perpetual volatility. That's a statement I found interesting. So a survey that was done, this is a global survey, found that leadership burnout raised 56% in 2024. So they did the study in America, and they did the burnout survey, and they found that 56% of leaders are burnt out. And here we don't have the statistics, but you'll find that individually, a lot of executives, managers are coming with problems of burnout. Burnout is just exhaustion, mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion, social exhaustion. People are just tired. They're stressed. They are not interested in they detach from their job. They detach from their lives. They're just in a state of exhausted existence. Basically, people are just walking around going, hey. It's just cry after cry after cry. People are not happy. And you'll find that the problems are seeping down into organizations, because once you talk to the employees, they'll tell you, oh, the management is giving me pressure. Because burnout, it comes in all sorts of forms. You'll find that it works since, you're tired. Now you're putting pressure on the employees and your team. You're shouting at people. You wake up and you shout at everyone. And everyone stands and says, okay, what exactly is going on? Right? People are frustrated. So you find that stress. So these are just some of the effects that I noted in the leaders themselves. 45% of leaders are under significant stress. And yet again, they can't go to seek help because they feel like it will show vulnerability. They have to stay alert and stay awake. Poor work-life balance. So they don't have social support. A lot of people who are in the families of people, high executives, sometimes they don't even know the people they live with anymore. They're so busy at work. They work 12-hour shifts. They come home to change and go back to work. People don't know you at home anymore. Your kids don't know you. Your husbands don't know you. Your wives don't know you anymore. And then systemic issues in the organization as well. It has a negative impact on the culture. So you find some organizations are just running on pressure every day. And the rising physical health concerns are just going up. So what we found is, so at CMAS clinics, sometimes we do analysis of our corporate clients. And a lot of our clients, you find that, especially hypertension, because of stress issues, mental health issues, those issues are on the rise, but not in the typical age. Maybe 5-10 years ago, you'd expect that these diseases were mostly in those who are 40, above 50s. But you find that people are coming in with hypertension at the age of 20, 25. 30s is where it's becoming quite critical. So now we are really trying to understand, doing a root analysis, where is this coming from? And you'll find that these are some of the issues that people are dealing with. This is causing the age of diagnosis to reduce every single day. So well-being it's a leadership responsibility. It starts with us, and then it seeps down to our teams. If you were to sit down and ask yourself, if your team mirrored your current state of well-being, what kind of culture would your organization have? You'd have to ask yourself, what kind of what is your well-being like right now? And how is your team actually doing if you're feeling like this? Does your workplace actually enable people to thrive? Or are they in a pressure cooker every single day? Boiling point Monday to Friday. And then Saturday, when everyone wants to go and, release some pressure, where are we heading? If you drive around Harare these days, you'll find that the places that are opening up every day tend to be places that sell fast food. A couple of years ago, there was probably, 2 KFCs in Harare? How many KFCs are there now? How many chicken inns are there now? Let's talk about the liquor stores. How many liquor stores are there right now? There's a liquor store opening at every single complex. Why? Because after this, all of you are going to Friday. Right? So that we can take ourselves from the stress of work and life. And what does the alcohol do? It compounds the problem. What does the sitting do when you're trying to meet deadlines in 12 hours? It promotes obesity. Strain on the back, on the musculoskeletal system, compounds of the problem of chronic diseases. Just further compounds the issue of the cost of healthcare, because now we're dealing with diseases that we are not managing well. So that's just a little bit of a glimpse into the problem. So as same as I go, what we've been doing is we've also been looking at global trends in organization wellness, because you find that globally, even healthcare providers are looking at the preventative aspect of health. We cannot wait any longer just to treat and cure disease, because the burden is too high, the costs are too high. So we need to get ahead of it. So you'll find that some organizations, a lot of organizations internationally, are looking at workplace well-being being a business strategy. If your employees are better, if your leaders are better and they are well, there's more productivity. More productivity means that overall the business strategy is on target. There's an organizational shift to prioritizing healthy lifestyles. So small habits. One, looking at the ergonomics of teams. Are the chairs that we're sitting on doing okay? Do we need to stand more? Do we need a bell with the finance department? Or, I mentioned the finance department, the future finance department, even in CIMAS, tends to be there for 8, 12 hours sitting at desks talking about deadlines. But
Talking.
yeah, meeting deadlines. Yeah, so do we need a bell in that department to make everyone stand up for a few minutes? Do we need a physiotherapist on site? Do we need a mental health expert for people to talk to on site? This is what people are doing globally. If you look at places like Google, they even have sleeping rooms. You can go and take a nap and come back. Some people have cry rooms. If you need to go cry and then come back. So people are prioritizing healthy lifestyles. And then also looking at brain health, because there is a link between how our brains function and the mental health, right? Because yet again, it's more about promoting productivity. The better your brain is, the more mental health support you have, the better the productivity, the better the outcomes. And so this is just some of the studies. Well-being initiatives do make an impact. They improve productivity. You'll find that companies that have strong wellness programs have a 20% higher productivity. You'll find that there's improved performance for those who improved their health, and even those who were taking it seriously in the first place, they increased their productivity even by engaging more. Retention and attraction. Those companies that have more wellness programs and wellness support, they're able to attract the right employees, the right talent. They're also able to retain the right people to improve their organizations. Financial costs. There are reduced costs for those who implement wellness costs. You'll find that offset days if they are on the rise, it has a bearing on the outputs of company. And also it has a bearing in our economy because a lot of people also look to their HRs, their companies for financial support in times of need. So that those costs can be significantly reduced if you manage the wellness of employees and of leaders. So something that we like to talk about is a framework for well-being for leaders, those in positions of leadership. So one, it starts with ourselves. So usually we talk a lot about our purpose as humans is to inspire healthier communities. But usually anything that requires community starts with the individual. So what we are urging people is to prioritize personal health assessments and goals. So as leaders, before we even get to the point where we talk about where's this company going to be in 10 years, what's our strategy for the next 10 years, you need to ask yourself, what's my strategy? What's my personal goals for the next 5 to 10 years? How do I look after me for the next 5 to 10 years? Also promoting psychological resilience. Like I said, mental health support is critical, especially in the age that we're living in. We need to destigmatize and promote psychological support in the workplace. It does not mean that you are weak or that you are inefficient if you require support. And also we need to cultivate a well-being culture. So that means embed wellness in the workplace, even if it means through our KPIs, even if it just means by bringing services on site. We need to make sure that we cultivate the culture of looking after ourselves so that we can also look after our core business. So this presentation, I thank Icaz because I know Icaz is moving towards a wellness and they would like us to act on these initiatives. Leadership well-being is not just an indulgence, it's actually risk management. It's managing the health of our employees, our leaders, our organizations now, so that tomorrow we can be better. So the practical steps that you can take are embedded in the strategy that I talked about. One thing that we have liked to do is we offer a lot of wellness programs, and what we found is by supporting employees, leaders, it changes the perspective of employees. Those who feel that they are cared about more by their leaders, by their execs, their managers, they perform better. But also for execs, we're also trying to improve executive wellness screening. That's something that we are starting very soon. We have a couple of clients that are already on this program, where we get execs, managers to do an annual screen to get cells, get everything checked, get your bloods checked, get your mental health checked, go for a cancer screen, do everything and make sure that you are fine, and make a well-being plan. A plan means over the year, tell yourself that I will need to do A, B, C, D so that I stay in the right frame of mind. If there are areas that require to be addressed, you address them in that plan. And that plan is made on a year-to-year basis so that you can stay on course and deliver as much for the company, but also for yourself. We have a number of services that support leadership well-being. So we also do lifestyle genomics and counseling for people. And we do it primarily because sometimes people don't want people to know that I access certain services, but we want people to manage their health. And once they've done it, they can promote it in their teams and in their organizations so that we start at the top and it goes all the way down. Mental health support. We're looking at nutrition, fitness plans, simple things. Like I said, sometimes it's all about starting up for a day real. So that can come in a simple fitness plan that you can make for yourself, that instead of calling people on Teams, maybe after every hour, you just need to walk someone's desk and say, okay, this is the plan, and then walk back. Improve your steps. Small incremental improvements just to increase your overall well-being. So just to talk about some of the well-being initiatives that we have noted to just show that some of these things can come even locally. We don't have the studies and the numbers just yet, but just a couple of case studies that we have. We have an exec at CIMAS went for a genomics testing. So a genomics testing is they take a sample of his blood, they check your genes, and they can tell you about certain metabolisms that you have for certain foods and how your sleeping patterns are. And this particular exec usually comes in mid-morning, 10 o'clock, starts her day, and works until around 9. Then she goes home, continues to work, and sleeps around 1 a.m. in the morning. And the genomics test actually told her that she was a morning person and that she'd be more productive in the morning. So she suddenly figured out that she was probably living her entire life in the reverse. So she had a counseling, and so far it's been 6 months. She's been trying to sleep earlier and wake more in the morning. And it has improved certain aspects because she comes in earlier. She's actually a happy person in the morning. She's less grumpy in the morning. And life has been changing around. Simple test. So she's trying to keep that on for a year, and then we make another plan, move on. Second case study, we also have an executive member of ours who was having what she calls a mental breakdown in COVID. And she reached out for psychological support because, like I said, during the COVID era, a lot of us were not okay. So after reaching out to mental health wellness coaching, she managed to take control of certain issues that were going on in her life. After 3 sessions, things were moving much better for her. After COVID, she has had no issues, and she testifies to therapy. Therapy is something maybe in the side of Africa that we tend to be scared of. A lot of people, the minute they hear therapy, psychiatrists, first thing they think is, but I'm not crazy, I don't need therapy. But we are not crazy, we just need support, which is why we need to destigmatize. So even as a leader, please never feel that you are weak or you're crazy, that you require therapy. Therapy can improve life in a way that you probably couldn't imagine. My last example goes to the organization as a whole. So recently we had a CMAS Wellness Challenge where we encouraged everyone just to come in, get a BMI check, BP check. And you'll find this was done. We found that from the participants that we had, quite a high number. It was about almost 70%, had very high blood pressures. So that opened our eyes to something significant as well, because it showed that there are significant areas that we need to improve. So currently we are doing a framework. But within the challenge, we have 3 challenge winners who significantly improved their lives simply from small changes. They changed their diet, they spoke to the fitness coach that we had, and they started moving more, and they won the challenge. But it also opened our eyes to the fact that as of next year, we're definitely putting a wellness KPI so that people participate more. Why? You get people to participate and you'll find the significant difference. The difference that 10 weeks made at that time showed that, things are possible. What if you did this over a year? What if you did this over 5 years? What we're hoping to achieve is that in the next 10 years, with the 70% of those people that we diagnosed with high blood pressures, we're hoping to reduce that by over 50%. So hopefully next year I can come back and tell my success story. But this is the presentation that I have today, just to emphasize that our well-being is important. As much as we keep our eyes on the prize, on maintaining the performance of our organization, of our teams, we need to look after our well-being and our wellness so that tomorrow we can still be here to keep that story. Tomorrow we can still plan what we are doing when AI has taken over our jobs. So thank you very much for that presentation for today.